USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western. From Wisconsin's capital, it's Forward Madison hosting Westchester SC, a meeting between a 2019 USL League One original in Forward Madison and a 2025 expansion side in Westchester SC. A big 3 points up for grabs this evening. Both these teams right now down near the bottom of the League One table, but it's so tight that a win for either gets them at or near that playoff line. We're happy to have you with us here on CBS Sports Network alongside MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. Ricky, these two teams have been unlucky so far with some injuries, a lot better than their records indicate, and this is going to be a big one tonight in front of one of the best environments in USL League One.
Let's be very clear here, Joe. Madison and Westchester are a lot better than what their record shows, especially with the talent on their rosters. For this Westchester side, a team that's just looking for consistency within their performances. For Madison, they've been plagued with injury, just starting to come into form and health. This game is going to come down to the attacking 18-yard box. Who's more clinical and more composed will be the team that takes all 3 points.
And one guy that's been plenty composed this year is Derek Gebhardt. He leads the way for Madison with 4 goals on the season.
Derek Gebhardt is such an important piece for Madison because he has the freedom to stay wide to go 1v1, but he can also come centrally just to search the game. And more importantly, he's shown he has a very good feel of popping up at the right place at the right time. Look for him to apply some real pressure on Westchester in that back line.
Good news is he's been terrific. Bad news is his 4 goals account for 50% of their goals this season.
No way around it for Madison. They need more secondary goal-scoring opportunities for Dorado. He's a player that just came in on loan from Birmingham Legion. He's big, he's physical. He scored a goal last time out, so he can be a compliment to Derek Gebhardt, but there's just too much talent for the Sword Madison to only score 8 goals in 2025.
On the other side, the issue for Westchester has been dropping points. They've dropped 19 points from a winning position this year. That's more points than they've earned on the season.
It starts with their consistency and their defensive structure. Too many times it's been individual silly mistakes in front of goal and mental lapses. For this Westchester side, you have to have the ability to stay tight. You need to stay compact, and that's going to be the foundation if you want to come into Madison and steal points.
When they've been clicking, it's been because of J.C. Obregon up top, reigning first-team All-League player, scored 15 goals last year. He's on his way again this year.
J.C. Obregon is a nightmare to defend because he can score every single type of goal in the book, but he also has the work rate to match his talent. He's tenacious, he's ruthless, he wants to get on the end of service, so getting him the ball early and often will be crucial for Westchester here on the road.
Second meeting all time between these two clubs. They met a month ago to a 1-1 draw in New York. A massive 3 points at stake tonight in a very bunched up USL League One table. It's Forward Madison and Westchester SC next on CBS Sports Network. You're watching the USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western. Crowd filling out here on what's been a rough night in terms of the weather. Rain expected throughout. That not putting any damper, though, on the folks here in Madison as we look at Madison's starting lineup.
For Madison, everything will come through this back three of Krul, Chilaka, and Mel. Chilaka has shown that he's a front foot defender, so he wants to be really aggressive at stepping into that middle three. So Krul and Mel need to provide coverage underneath if they're solid, and this instills some confidence going forward to let that attacking unit to be expansive and to be aggressive. And that is exactly what Matt Glazer wants his starting 11 to be. They want to be fluid, and they want to put pressure on Westchester.
On the other side for Westchester, it's more mixing and matching on the back line. They've had 11 different back fours so far this season.
Players in front of them, John, at this stadium, but off the ball, look for them to organize their line to be very tight, to not allow Madison to play in between the lines. That will be crucial for Westchester here.
Westchester in the white this evening as they go left to right. Madison in the blue from right to left. Temperatures in the low 60s and rain expected throughout. It's been raining ahead of this game, so the conditions on this turf will be slick. Something to keep in mind. Greg Dopka blows the whistle, and we are underway in Madison. Happy to have you with us this evening as Forward Madison welcomes Westchester SC in USL League One. Alongside Ricky Lopez-Espin, I'm Joe Malfa. Glad to have you with us for this one. Heartbeat of American soccer runs through Madison, and you hear it right from the jump. The flock, the supporters here, among the best in all of USL League One. Matter of fact, I'd bump that out to among the best under the USL umbrella, what we've seen from this group since they came into the league in 2019.
Something that Matt Glazer is really pleased about, with just the support and the atmosphere created here. When Madison plays at home, teams do not like to come into this hostile environment, so the first 10 minutes for Westchester just to get their footing will be really important.
And they get a set piece in the early going here, Madison. Want to get this crowd going right away. So much history here in the short time on this field. From club legend Connor Tobin slamming beers with the fans, to some advertisement boards that were trampled over with some late winners. This is one of the places to be in League One. And these players would like to send them into an early frenzy here on the set piece. Set piece defending has been an issue at times this year for Westchester, just lapses in focus. This one looped in toward the goal in the end, drifting and out for a goal kick.
Bit wasteful here from Diedrich. You need to give your teammates a chance. You just see the shake of the head, the frustration from their center midfielder. A quality player deserves a little bit of a better service from the midfielder.
This Westchester team has done a really good job at starting games quickly. It's something that Matt Glazer, head coach of Forward Madison, is alert to. He wants his group buttoned up defensively in the first 15 minutes, although maybe you let them score, because the numbers really don't work out for Westchester. They're 0-3-4 when scoring first this year, which is mind-boggling. 7 times they score first, no wins from that. So maybe it's not all bad for Matt Glazer's group if they succumb to a fast start from Westchester once again.
It was something that you and I talked about the open for Westchester, a team that just continues to drop points when they go ahead, and Dave Carlson, he wants a side to beat.
Here's Gebhard, falls for him. Some contact there, and a penalty granted. Gebhard taken out from behind, and it's former member of Forward Madison, Stephen Payne, who's coming over and having a chat with Greg Dopka. Penalty was indicated. So less than 3 minutes into this game, Madison has a chance from 12 yards out.
Fantastic recognition here for Madison to go quick with their long throw, and I just want you to watch Gebhard, who comes centrally. There is a little bit of contact right here from Teta. Comes through the backside of Gebhard. If you are a center back, there's no need to try to go into that challenge, because Payne is coming across and just cutting down the angle. Lack of composure yet again for Westchester gives Madison a good opportunity 4 minutes in.
And the ball is handed off to Garrett McLaughlin. If there's a player who needs a goal, it's Garrett McLaughlin. He hasn't scored this season. He didn't score last year after joining from North Carolina FC in USL Championship, so he's yet to score for this Forward Madison group. We touched on it in the open. They need some secondary scoring in addition to Gebhard. If McLaughlin sees one go through, the confidence will start to flow. Dane Jackaman side to side in goal. McLaughlin contemplating. Whistle already went. He's just waiting now. Garrett McLaughlin scores! His first for Forward Madison, and they have a lead at home inside of 5 minutes.
Fantastic start here for the home side to give the thousands in attendance something to cheer on. Matt Glazer needs to be really pleased with just the intensity. Watch the left side of your screen. Grab hard. He comes a little bit central, just searching the game. But as this back line of Westchester just trying to recover, there's a lot of contact. McLaughlin is doing a really good job at just slowing himself down. A little stutter step to see Jackman go one way. Cool as you would like, send it the other way. Madison in the lead here early on.
He scored a goal when he joined the club last year in the Jägermeister Cup. But so far in League One play until that moment, for forward Madison, he'd played 15 games. He'd not yet scored. For a goal scorer with such a great track record in this league, from his time at other stops in Toronto and North Carolina before North Carolina graduated to USL Championship, and then he came Madison's way last year in a move from North Carolina. McLaughlin, a player who had 31 goals across those stops in this league, but not yet for Madison until that right there. That's exactly what Matt Glazer wanted from the start. And it's interesting for these two teams, when they met a month ago in that 1-1 draw, Madison drew 2 penalties. They scored 1, and it tied the game at 1, but then in the second half they missed a penalty on a game where Matt Glazer felt they dominated and should have won. So it's a 3rd penalty they've drawn against Westchester, giving that back line some fits. This time, though, they cash in.
Just really silly defending from Westchester yet again.
Stephen Payne trying to help out and get it back. Out for a Madison throw.
6 minutes in, it's been all one-way traffic in terms of the quality, but also just the intensity for forward Madison. Their first every 50-50 ball. They want it just a little bit more. So if you are Matt Glazer, you need to be very pleased with how your team has approached this game.
He was an assistant for Real Monarchs when you were a part of the organization. You know about this guy and his tendencies, and he's done a good job here in Madison. He's gotten him to playoffs the last couple of years as both the director and the head coach. Feels this year's group has a lot of core players coming back from last year where the run is coming and it just hasn't quite happened for them yet. They've had a lot of injuries to navigate. So far this season, they've always had between 3 and 7 key contributors out at a given time. But now they're all starting to get healthy again, and he feels that run is on the brink.
With the amount of injuries that Madison has had happen to their roster, really difficult to get in a rhythm and just get consistency within their performances. But again, they just have so much talent, and that's something that Forward Madison has done a really good job of over the years. That's just continue to have that core, but also to bring in experienced players at USL level to find success.
Great ball long over the top here. Flag stays down, battling for it. It was McLaughlin again. This time able to defend without fouling Westchester. But as a striker, you get that 1. Even if that 1 comes on a penalty, all of a sudden, that net looks like it's doubled in size. Here's Prince Sadie the other way. Prince Sadie laying it off, intercepted by John Murphy. Dean Guzin. Contact there, Madison comes away with it. Looking long again. This time, the other way. Nice move from Dorado cutting in. Whistle went. And they got him for the foul. Dave Carton, his first year as the head coach here at Westchester, had been with Charlotte over the last couple of years. Relied on a lot of familiarity in setting the foundation of this roster. You see it in the likes of Joel Johnson in the starting group with JC Obregon, players that he had with him at Charlotte last year. Knows this league, he knows what it takes to have success. Charlotte have enjoyed success in recent years. It hasn't clicked for them yet in terms of the results. As we've talked about, a lot of it self-inflicted. Just moments where they have individual errors defensively, where they have situational lapses, letting their guard down right before a half or at the end of a half. Rather, right before the halftime whistle or right after the halftime whistle. And those 10 minutes either side, those crucial moments where you could just fall asleep at the wheel, they've done it. Last game was the perfect example, a 5-2 loss against AV Alta. They had a 2-0 lead last game. Their goalkeeper hadn't faced a shot yet. All of a sudden, a momentary lapse, it's 2-1. Coming at a half, they let their guard down on a set piece, it's 2-2, and then the avalanche comes for AV Alta, they go on to win it 5-2. But a game they were leading 2-0, they know exactly what went wrong, they could pinpoint it, but they still can't stop it.
When you come on the road, especially here at forward Madison, and very similar to what we saw against AV Alta. You cannot allow one goal turn into two, turn into three. So for Descartes, it's all about the mentality and not letting momentum start to build. You start centrally. Johnson and McGlynn need to do a good job at just putting their foot on the ball and getting some confidence within the side, connecting the passes, doing the simple things well, which is a way that Westchester can get themselves back into this game.
Show off your team pride and style with official merch from shopusl.com. Check out brand new tees, hoodies, novelty items, and more of your favorite USL team at shopusl.com by scanning the QR code now. Dorado holding it up, flicks it over his head. Already Souza pressuring end line and out for a goal kick.
Especially with a center forward like Dorado, now you need a lot of mobility, whether it is underneath him or off of one of his shoulders, because he's going to require so much attention. So expect Souza, Garcia, McLaughlin to be very vertical as secondary movements for Madison.
Jackaman getting the start again in goal for Westchester. It's been split roughly 50-50 between Jackaman and Andrew Hammersley. Sixth start of the season tonight for Dane Jackaman. Another player that Dave Carton was familiar with. Jackaman was on loan to Charlotte from Loudoun United back in 2022. When we first encountered him. Already Souza.
Good ball.
Great ball through for John Murphy. And Murphy unable to do anything with it when all was said and done. Joel Johnson through for Dean Guzin. And now Prince Sadie. Dynamic duo up top between Sadie and Obregon. Offside flag comes up here on Daniel Bauman. But that combination of Sadie and Obregon, not only in this league, but also in USL Championship, those two having success. Prince Sadie, 2 years ago, had a career year in USL Championship. Had 10 goals for Hartford. Last year, though, it never really clicked. He was more of a bench player for both Rhode Island and Charleston, split the year between those two teams. Now this year, Prince Sadie, 2 goals and 6 starts for Westchester.
Obregon and Sadie complement each other very well. Sadie's more of the direct player, likes to stretch opposing back lines, and Obregon more of coming to feet and more of a number 9 type of player. So understanding as one goes, the other one provides the width will be important for Westchester in the attacking phase of this game.
Dean Guzin circumnavigating, waiting for support. 6th start tonight for Westchester. Dean Guzin, 2 assists given away here. Coming out of his goal, Jackaman got a piece of it. It's trickling wide. Adventurous from the goalkeeper, did enough and got enough on it to prevent this from an early 2-0 deficit.
Just far too casual here for McGlynn. Never peeks over his shoulder to see Dorado. You cannot play a square ball, especially right down the center of the field. Jackman doing a good job at just reading and putting out any sort of fire. And again, really sloppy for Westchester.
And uncharacteristic of Connor McGlynn. Conversation with Dave Carton, he said he's maybe one of the best passers of the football under the USL umbrella, whether a championship or League One. Said he has every club in the bag and is able to score from anywhere on the field. He can distribute from anywhere on the field. So a rare mistake from him in the possession at the back there, Connor McGlynn. They haven't really been able to tap into his fullest potential this year because they've been forced to play him on the back line because of all the injuries and a couple suspensions that have popped up. But tonight they finally have McGlynn back up into the midfield. On the ensuing corner, what can Madison do? Dietrich's in-swinger to a dangerous area, headed wide by McLaughlin, and out for a goal kick.
Really good ball in from Dietrich. Enough pace, enough power. McLaughlin just trying to help it on. But we've already seen 15 minutes in how dangerous forward Madison can be on set pieces, whether it is a corner kick or a long throw-in. Nice shape on that ball from the center midfielder.
Pressure in the midfield from Bauman. Turned over. Dean Guzin on it. McGlynn lets it run by.
If you are forward Madison, especially your 3 center backs, you need to be very clean at number 1. Your tech sheet, your 3 center backs, you need to be very clean at number 1, your technical ability, but also understand that you can bypass that initial line of pressure to open up the game.
Shipman sends it long. Glanced on toward Dorado. Joel Johnson got a head on it. Josh Drack sending it up the field, flicked on by Bauman. Dave Carton does not want his Westchester side to allow this game to end up in transition. He feels when the game is out of control, that's when Madison is in control. Through nearly 15 minutes, they've done a pretty good job of limiting those transitional moments. It was just that one lapse on the long throw where the penalty was drawn 3 minutes in. The goal officially coming 4 minutes in for Garrett McLaughlin from the penalty spot. Outside of that, they've been pretty solid defensively and controlling the tempo, Westchester. McLaughlin. Got it back to Burn Shipman. Luca Dorado is a name we've called a couple of times up top, and you referenced him in the open on that graphic about Madison not having enough secondary scoring. Coming into the night, it was 4 goals for Gebhard, and then 4 other guys with 1 goal. Now add McLaughlin to that list. But Dorado was a name that just appeared on that list. He came in on loan from Birmingham Legion back on May 16th. Really good collegiate career at UCF. Was an all-conference honoree. Scored 43 goals in 69 games for UCF. Had a good conference, good program. Birmingham just wasn't really the right fit for him. They had a coaching change early in the year, and a player who just needs some minutes now in his first professional season. It could be one of the sneaky big acquisitions of the season around League One if he gets into gear offensively next to Gebhard and with McLaughlin for Madison.
Just a handful to deal with Dorado. You see the physical attributes, but he's also very technically sound. He has soft feet that he can bring in his teammates, but he is a box number 9. He loves to make the secondary movements, show near post, peel off far post. Those types of movements is what he's all about. So getting him service, especially from wide parts of the field, that's when you will see the best out of Dorado.
Pressuring again all the way back to Jacobin, where he had that interception. Glazers felt they've really underperformed their expected goals, so we went back and dug into it after he mentioned that comment in passing. He's right. Coming into the night, their actual goals were 4 less than their expected goals, but the XG was only 12. That's still not good enough. Yes, underperforming, but even if they scored all those expected goals at 12, it still would be bottom third of USL League One. So just have to create more, and it feels it comes down to being more deliberate. There's been too many instances where they try to recycle the possession instead of just going for it in the attack.
For forward Madison's decision-making as well. Too many times players are rushing their decisions, trying to do things that they can do in 2 touches and 1 touches. It's understanding the situations, when to go quick, when to peel back, when to circulate the ball. And you see this opening goal 20 minutes in. Now that gives this side a sense of comfortability, especially through that front 3. Garcia is a player that we haven't really said enough, number 11. He wants to come a little bit centrally, but that 3, if they get clicking, now you have some real weapons going forward.
Already Souza kept it alive. McLaughlin is offside. Take a look at the live standings now. Forward Madison ends up tied on points with Texoma. So they're right there at the playoff line now, tied on points. That's how quickly things can change in this league with how bunched up the table is.
Great touch.
Not that one, though. Ooh,
watch out.
I don't know if our referee, Greg Dopka, caught that. There is no VAR, so if he didn't catch it, unfortunately, it is what it is. But that looked like a clear elbow to not the best spot there. Dorado down. Welcome back here at Bree Stevens Field in Madison, Wisconsin. A 1-0 lead for forward Madison over Westchester SC. A goal 4 minutes in on a Garrett McLaughlin penalty. But watch this here at the end. Fighting going on. And just wait for it. You want to describe that? I'll lob that your way.
No, you got
pass?
that. You got that.
It looked on replay less egregious than I thought it was in real time. You and I think, had the same reaction when we first saw it. No VAR, no need to or ability to go back and look at it, but something to keep an eye on between Bobby Pierre and Luca Dorado the rest of the game. Those two will be matched up the rest of the evening.
You're having a really difficult time dealing with the physicality of Dorado, but also with the ball at his feet. Watch out here, good opportunity for Westchester.
When they get out in transition, they're dangerous. Prince Sadie leading the way. Cutting in on that preferred left foot. Sadie scores! Burn Shipman seemed like he misread it. Prince Sadie leveling for Westchester.
Fantastic recognition here from Prince Sadie. The vertical threat within his directness of a profile player. Left footer playing on the right-hand side, so he always wants to come centrally. Notice how he sets up Kevhard. He drops his shoulder, and then he gets about 25 yards out. You put it on target, you give yourself a chance, but Shipman's gonna want this one back. He makes contact with it. The goalkeeper needs to do a better job at just pushing it wide of his far post. Yet, the response is there for Westchester. 1-1, 22nd minute.
You could see immense frustration in the aftermath there from Burn Shipman. He knows that's one that he should have had. I mean, who am I to say? I would miss that 10 times out of 10, but that's one that you would expect him to save 9 times out of 10. Unfortunately for Madison, that was the 1 time out of the 10, and it erases their early goal. McLaughlin brought down, cleanly won by Dean Guzin.
It's also good recognition for Westchester as a whole, as Madison is electing to press a little bit more aggressively. That leaves some space exposed going back the other way. A directness in terms of the profile for Prince Sadie. Good individual effort. You tie this game 1-1. So for forward Madison and Matt Glazer, the next 5 minutes, especially in central locations, will be crucial to take this game back on your terms.
Shipman, the 30-year-old goalkeeper, has been the guy for Madison over the last couple of years. A mistake that you don't tend to see him make in that moment there. And he wore the emotion all over his face in the aftermath after he got up. He knows. A couple of his teammates seem to know as well. You can see from their reactions. But in that moment, though, Ricky, as much as an outfield player as you know, maybe it's when your goalkeeper has to have, you got to pick him up.
100%. So now if you are Shipman, you're looking at Krul, Chalaka, and Mel.
So bounces here for Murphy. Flag stays down. He's brought down. Another penalty shout for Madison. And it seemed like they had an argument again. The feet getting tangled. Bobby Pierre and John Murphy. Take a look at it in a moment. Obregon now the other way.
Good no call here from Greg Dopko. Watch the left leg of Murphy. I think he is the one looking for it as he has it trailing behind the back of his body. Pierre, nothing he can do. It's an attacking player trying to create that contact. I'm okay with this no call.
Again, these teams last met a month ago, 1-1 draw. On that night, Madison had 2 penalties. They scored one, they had one in the second half that could have won it, and they missed it. Sunday at 10 Eastern, get ready for more footy action. Don't miss an NWSL clash out west as the San Diego Wave go head-to-head with the Washington Spirit right here on CBS Sports Network.
And the directness of forward Madison causing this back line of Westchester some issues, specifically Pierre not having the ability to win the initial challenge, but also doesn't seem comfortable with the ball at his feet. So if you are Matt Glazer, the message to your attacking players is just to go at him.
All the way back to Shipman, hasn't had to make a play ever since the goal he let in. You know he's probably almost hoping for a shot at this point, so he can make amends and just make a stop that'll make him feel better and get back into the rhythm of this game.
Talked about the experience, especially through this forward Madison side, Joe, particularly in that back three. So how do you get your goalkeeper back up to speed? You play the ball into him, get him some touches, get his confidence back up. Really important stretch for Shipman, the goalkeeper.
Here's Gebhard. He's sitting on a milestone here tonight.
Good ball.
Dorado feeds it wide. For Garcia. Rolls it back for Ferretti Souza. Ferretti Souza had it blocked. Misplayed by Jackaman. Unable to come out and get it over McLaughlin. But Madison can't do anything with it. Back to Gebhard. His next goal ties him for most all time for forward Madison in all competitions, with Christian Cheney sitting on 22 goals at the moment. 23 will tie, 24 will put him on top. That's 4 on the season, already besting last year's total of 3, Derek Gebhard. Here he is. Gebhard cutting in, some contact there as he tried to split the defenders. Mistouch. Garcia lays it back for Luca Dorado, pushing it through. Gebhard off balance. Had he kept his footing, there's a chance this is a 2-1 ball game.
Again, just no real need for Westchester trying to play out, especially with the numbers that forward Madison is committing. Just clear your lines. If you are Prince Sadie, it's a hospital ball into Connor McGlynn. Fortunate, Gebhard's unable to get his feet underneath him. But just silly in terms of the technical ability for Westchester, and also their decision-making just has not been good enough 30 minutes in.
They do get a corner out of it. Forward Madison.
This near post area wide open for Madison.
Garcia goes back post, and it's gathered by Jackaman, who wants to go quickly, but wisely now slows it down. Back to the goal for Westchester. The stats have finally populated. That shot from Prince Sadie, again, we've talked about it. You don't want to harp on it too much for Burn Shipman. I think he knows he made a mistake. You can see it in his reaction. That shot had a .03 expected goals tally attached to it. So again, that basically means that 3 times out of 100, based on the metrics that lie in the system, they expect that shot to go in 3 times out of 100.
Good math, Joe.
Shipman, I almost messed it up. I promise you, I waited a heartbeat before I actually said what I said. I almost messed it up. But yeah, 3 times out of 100. But if you're Westchester, with some of the breaks that have gone against you this year, you'll take that break for you in that moment. Derek Gebhard being tended to by the trainer. Almost a half an hour gone here at Breeze Stevens Field. 1-1 between forward Madison and Westchester SC.
Just watch the right there for Payne. Just comes over the top of Gebhard. It's a foul. Greg Dopka seems like he does have a good angle on it. Matt Glazer moments ago talking to our 4th official here. Comes over the top, studs are exposed. Payne gets away with one here.
They've been teammates the last 2 years, Stephen Payne and Derek Gebhard here in Madison. Payne going Westchester's way this offseason. '22nd minute. Westchester able to tie on the Prince Sadie goal. I want you to watch the reaction from Shipman when he gets up. Right here, he knows. Right there. He absolutely knows that that was one that he should have. So it undoes the goal 4 minutes in on the penalty from Garrett McLaughlin. Here we are, half an hour on, all tied at 1, but a free kick on the way. So they did get that foul in the end, Ricky, but no card shown. I think that's what Matt Glazer wanted, was a card in the end against Stephen Payne. Dietrich carves in a good ball, bounces. Murphy closing in, Guzin trying to work it away and does. That is one of the no-nos. You don't want to let a ball bounce in the box defensively on a set piece, but they live to tell the tale, Westchester.
Guzin does just enough to keep it alive. And at the second bite, the apple just clears his line, but really shaky for Westchester on the third set piece that they need to defend.
60% of the ball going Westchester's way, though it's felt the most meaningful possession has belonged to Madison in the attacking half throughout this first half. Out shooting Westchester 3-1 at the moment, forward Madison. Gebhard, McLaughlin, now Murphy. John Murphy, the 24-year-old, in his second season at Madison. He's bounced around a bit. He was one of the few guys on this Madison team that was part of the 2021 Union Omaha title-winning team. They won the Players' Shield that year as well. In the starting 11, 3 of those guys, Jay Kroll, Verity Souza, John Murphy. A couple more on the bench. Tommy Villader, Devin Boyce. Not a bad idea from Matt Glazer to say, hey, that team that won it all in 2021 and was totally dominant, let's go grab a bunch of those players. And it's worked. This Madison team's made the playoffs the last couple of years. It's been funny though, they haven't really gotten all those guys at once. Even this year, Tommy Villader came over this offseason from Sacramento, while those other guys were already to some extent in place. So it's not like one offseason, Matt Glazer woke up and said, let's just go get all the Omaha guys. They've slowly been amassed like infinity stones over the last 3 years. And they've got 5.
And just look at the pressure right now for Madison. Dorado doing a good job at just keeping the play to one side of the field. As an attacking player, especially as a single striker, if you can just shade where this play is going to go, it helps everyone behind you, because that allows everyone just to squeeze and keep this game on one side of the field.
Tata looking long. Garcia. Able to work it through. Payne takes his eye off of it though. Garcia turning the corner, runs into Dave Carton. Well, back to his feet by the opposing manager. Had a good conversation with both Dave Carton and Matt Glazer about the parity in this league this year versus previous years. Look out. You're not safe even on the sideline.
Garcia having a conversation with Greg Dobka, saying it's about the 4th time that Payne has been involved in a really silly challenge, and rightly so. You have to think that the right back is walking a very thin line for the remainder of this game.
Back to Dave Carton on the parity in this league. It's interesting right now, you look below the playoff line and you see teams like Omaha, Tormenta, Greenville, Madison, teams that have been stalwarts in this league who you know will go on a run. And then you look above the playoff line and you see a lot of the newbies to the league like Texoma, among other teams, and one Knoxville only a couple of years into their existence in League One. You see all those teams higher up the table, Naples, the furthest forward of the new teams. And you know at some point that maybe those teams will have a dip. So you've got the old guard that you know will turn it on. You've got some of the new teams that you expect to ease off at some point, but top to bottom, there's really not a lot separating all the teams in League One this year, and that goes to a point that on the same topic Matt Glazer made. He feels the expansion this year, it allowed a lot of players to go to more suitable locations regionally for them personally. Somebody that he mentioned, Jimmy Villalobos, who was a player here at Madison, before that at Chattanooga. Now this year he goes to be one of the centerpieces of the AV Alta roster because it's from near home and he can be with family again. And there's just this effect this year, all the talent being spread out so evenly across the league as the dust has settled, where you really don't know on any given day who could beat who ends up where in the table. It's funny, Dave Carton's line stuck out to me. He said, if I were a betting man, which I'm not, I would not bet any amount of money on any one of these teams in any matchup any day this season. He really drove that point home, and it makes sense. We've seen it time and again throughout this season that anybody can truly beat anybody. They give it away here at the back by Westchester. More contact in the area, and Madison again looking for a penalty, but again, Greg Dopka says no.
And again, it's Connor McGlynn, very uncharacteristic of a player of his quality. Notice the way that he approaches this game, this ball. He's just facing towards his defending goal. There's no way he has any idea where the pressure's oncoming. To be fair, does a really good job at recovering from his mistake. But a player of his quality and his experience, you have to approach this ball with your hips open so you can see where the pressure's oncoming, but you can also open up the field to play through the pressure.
Just under 10 minutes remaining here in this first half. 1-1 the score between forward Madison and Westchester SC. Some USL League One action for you this evening on CBS Sports Network with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa, glad to have you with us. Goal came 4 minutes in for Madison on a penalty, and then 22 minutes in for Prince Sadie on the other side.
Just too casual.
And McGlynn going down, injured after that.
Just too casual from Connor McGlynn. Takes a second touch. Feels the pressure, gets his pocket picked. Give credit to forward Madison. Notice how many numbers are hunting the ball, especially when it gets played into that central location for Westchester. Something that Matt Glazer wanted tactically to be on the front foot, and they've done just that.
Connor McGlynn back to his feet, looks to be all right. Brother of Jack McGlynn, who's playing currently in the Gold Cup for the United States. And there's actually a number of players involved in USL League One in that Gold Cup right now, including Noah Powder, who Westchester's missing this evening. You see the bottom one there. Tyler Adams, not a player in USL League One, but a co-owner of this Westchester team, so we'll include him as well. And we could have had an interesting moment in the group stage opener. Trinidad and Tobago played the United States. Tyler Adams ended up missing the game with a slight foot injury. He's expected to be back for the U.S. tomorrow. Noah Powder started for Trinidad and Tobago, so we could have, unfortunately did not, but could have had a moment where it was a USL League One player against one of his co-owners in the Gold Cup. But we just missed out, unfortunately.
Has to be the first in history if it would have happened, right?
Yeah.
What did you say to open up this game, the heartbeat of American soccer?
Absolutely. Natty James, by the way, played in that game of Portland Hearts of Pine for Trinidad and Tobago. There was a stretch in the second half where he was the best player on the field.
He's going to be a big player in
Absolutely.
League One for Portland Hearts of Pine.
He came on as a sub in the second half, and it got to a point where the U.S. subbed out Chris Richards, who's been terrific at Crystal Palace this year. He's the anchor of that back line for the U.S., not only for this Gold Cup team, but when they have the full A team, he's the guy. And Natty James was running circles around him to the point that he got subbed off because he just couldn't keep up. Rain has stayed away for much of this first half, thankfully. It was expected to continue throughout much of the evening after it came before the game. Thankfully, it's held up. Looking through for McLaughlin. Can the defense for Westchester hold up? Back out to Faraday Souza. Nice move to the end line. Faraday Souza gets the service in. Murphy's header blocked. Falling for McLaughlin. Westchester able to work it clear through Drack, and he's fouled.
Just the mobility of McLaughlin causing so many issues in terms of the communication of the two center backs of Westchester. Tetsa and Pierre have no idea where McLaughlin is starting his run, but also where he's finishing it. And he pulls out one of the two center backs, which allows space for Dorado just to stay centrally. So you talk about the compliments of the two attacking players for Madison in this first half. They've done a really good job at just asking some questions of Westchester.
And yet, for Westchester, as they've answered most of those questions, the problem is and Dave Carton's the first one to raise his hand and say it. The problem is individual lapses and lapses in concentration out of nowhere when you least expect it. That's been the Achilles heel for Westchester this year. So even if they're having a near perfect game defensively, well, here comes a moment in the 88th minute where somebody switches off and they concede, and all of a sudden the script flips. That's been the problem. So can they keep this up for 90 without a lapse is the ultimate question.
And just look how they started this game, right? A long throw and into the attacking 18-yard box, 4 minutes in. There's a miscommunication. Someone doesn't win the initial duel. Tete, Pierre come across. They take out Gebhardt, and before you know it, you're down 1-0 here on the road. Not what you want if you're Dave Carton.
Happy, though, to get it back as they did through Prince Sadie 18 minutes later. J.C. Obregon chasing here, pressuring from the front for Westchester. He's been a non-factor to this point. Madison would like to keep it that way. Coming into the night, Obregon second in League One with 5 goals this season, reigning first-team All-League player.
Only 8 touches for J.C. Obregon. You need to get him a little bit more influential, and the way that you do that is you need to get Bauman on the ball as that pocket presence too many times. It's just been direct for Westchester. They don't have the ability to occupy the space centrally that will manipulate Madison, and that will allow Obregon to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of his positioning.
Obregon's form at the end of last year earned him his first 2 caps for Honduras as well. He's in such great form with 15 goals in 20 games for Charlotte Independence. Honduras could not help but give him that call. Made 2 appearances in Nations League. Some conversations, could he be involved in Gold Cup this time around? They lost 6-0 last night against Canada, so I don't know that they could have done worse with him, but Westchester happy to have him in the meantime. Dorado looking through. Good first touch here into space. Some contact there. McLaughlin fighting for it. In front, it pops over the bar as Murphy slid into the keeper, Jackman. That was a dicey moment at the back for Westchester. The moments that they've been able to avoid thus far.
Just a luxury to have for Dorado, a big physical number 9 that can bring in his teammates. Notice how he just gets on the half turn, and it's a great run in for McLaughlin, just causing, again, so many issues. Pierre and Drac need to do a better job at just closing down that space, and this is just about will for Murphy to not give up on the play and just to be opportunistic. Nearly gets forward Madison's second goal.
It was Garcia, or rather McLaughlin, who played that ball into Murphy. On second look, it was actually Drac. He was just flailing, trying to clear, and he almost put that on a platter for Murphy.
This defending 101 for Westchester. If a player has the ability to get on the half turn with no pressure on the ball, you need to drop a bit quicker. Drac needs to come centrally and just play next to Pierre. You can never allow an attacking player to split both defending players.
Westchester still with just the 1 shot. It was the goal for Prince Sadie in the 22nd minute. Placed it perfectly from distance, but one that still Burn Shipman should have had, and the numbers again bear that out. That shot only had 0.03 expected goals attached to it. In other words, the metrics indicate that that ball would only go in 3 out of 100 times. Fortunately for Westchester, it was one of the 3 times.
Again, just right side of your screen, just no movement whatsoever for Westchester. Your 2 center midfielders are on the right side of the field. No one in that pocket presence to connect that back to front. And that's why we start to see Westchester just elect to play direct ball after direct ball. And for Madison doing a good job at just winning those balls.
Played back by Stephen Payne in the pocket. Who's in, ends up out wide for Drac. Not afraid to venture forward from that position, Josh Drac. He drops it back instead. Now Joel Johnson. He's been quiet. They want more of Joel Johnson and Connor McGlynn on the ball in the central areas of the field. Dave Carton felt the midfield battle would be crucial in this one. You can't let Madison set up in their box. That box midfield can really constrict you and force you out of those best areas. Over the top now, Obregon settling. Obregon around the keeper, brought down, penalty. No question about it from that first look. Obregon, it took 44 minutes and 37 seconds, but finally an impact on this game, and it's a big one.
And it just comes with having a pocket presence, someone to get in between the lines on the half turn, and now the responsibility comes from the front line of Westchester. You need a secondary movement, someone to be direct. Perfection in terms of this ball. Obregon doing a good job at just helping it on and beating Shipman, and he's in no man's land. Clear contact, yes, it's a foul, but is there a little bit of a handball from Obregon? Clever from the center midfielder just to help it on and win.
We'll come back and dissect that one a little bit more after the penalty, because I don't think you and I are going to agree on that one. But JC Obregon steps up to the spot. Second in the league with 5 goals coming in. He drew the penalty, and now he'll take it. 2 minutes of stoppage time tacked on. It went down 4 minutes in. Can Westchester head to the half with a lead? It's Obregon, saved by Shipman, rebound put in! Obregon followed his miss and gives Westchester the lead.
Sixth on the season for Obregon, and especially in a hostile environment, you need your big-time players to stand up and produce magic. This is about his work rate, his directness, to understand Shipman's off of his line. Let me just help it on and take the contact. 12 yards out we go. You get denied initially, but staying with it. We talked about his ruthlessness, his tenacious effort to want to get on the end of things. He gets rewarded for just following up, and he gives Westchester the lead right before halftime.
Ties him with Carson Henderlong, Anwar Pelaez, Darwin Espinal, and Leo Castro on 6 goals, a 5-way tie right now in the Golden Boot race. You keep saying contact. I don't know that there was contact on that. I don't think there's any touch from Shipman on Obregon. I think Obregon really made a meal of that, and I said I wanted to come back to it. I think you and I saw that one differently. It's good. We got halftime to really dissect it more during the commercial breaks. In any event, no VAR. Call that stands. Shipman argued it immediately. That's what he was trying to say, that he didn't make any contact with Obregon. But in the end, it's Westchester after going down 1-0, 4 minutes into this half. Looks like they'll take a 2-1 lead into the break.
Initially, I thought your argument was going to be with ball from Obregon.
I joked with you in the opening minutes of this game. If you're Westchester, do you just let Madison score first? Because Westchester this season, 0-3-4 when scoring first. So far, that's actually kind of worked out. They went down 4 minutes in, and now they have a 2-1 lead. Something about playing with a lead that really hasn't worked out for this team. And the whistle goes to end half number 1. Westchester on the road will take that 2-1 lead in the break.
Tactically, Dave Carton's starting to figure things out. If you can get Guzin or Bauman in between lines, now the whole game will start to open up, because you had just so much mobility with Prince Sadie and Obregon to really test the shape of forward Madison. For Matt Glazer, you're going to be frustrated. You were the better side in the first 45 minutes, but now you need a reaction coming out of halftime. All to play for in this next second half.
Well, the way these teams match up, the expectation was for some fireworks and a game that could be back and forth. It's lived up to that so far. 3 goals in this first half, split 2-1 in Westchester's favor. A month after these teams tied 1-1, we've got a fun one brewing here in Madison. USL on CBS Sports is presented by Best Western. More to come. Westchester 2, Madison 1. At the break here in Madison, The Experience, presented by El Jimador Spike Bebidas, is a video docuseries that shows the history, passion, and community of USL clubs and their supporter groups. The latest episode showcases Forward Madison and their support group, The Flock.
The stakes are higher. You know what's on the line.
We're here to support the crest, the club, and the community.
This is what the Heady Derby's all about.
I don't know about other people, but I kind of get goosebumps.
We show up no matter what the weather is. In the snow, 35 degrees.
The club has developed, the team has developed, so has the fan base.
People in this town love this team, pack these stands out for every single game.
Presented by El Jimador Spike Bebidas, Season 3, Episode 1 is available now. Stream the episode at youtube.com/USL. More to come in front of the faithful here, The Flock. Two-1 lead at the break on the road for Westchester SC over Forward Madison. Very eventful first half here at Breese Stevens Field. Happy to have you with us as we welcome you back inside the booth with MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. It started with Madison really doing exactly what they wanted, getting that penalty early on, taking a 1-0 lead, and then from there, Westchester had the response they wanted. That half had everything you could have wanted as a fan.
It was chaos. It was direct. There was no midfield whatsoever. For a neutral, it's everything you wanted. There was all good approach for League One. It starts with Forward Madison electing to play this long throw, and I just want you to watch left side of your screen. Gebhardt, he anticipates where this is going to come,
Pierre really sloppy from the center back. There's no need. You want to try to win that ball. McLaughlin says thank you very much. Composed pen from 12 yards out, and dream start for forward Madison.
But maybe a good thing, as we talked about in that first half, that this Westchester team was 0-3-4 when scoring first. So they concede first, and it actually worked out from there.
Again, you just look at the possession for Westchester, the high press for forward Madison, so that allows space over the top. It's the recognition from Westchester to draw Madison in, and then you have Prince Sadie, and this is when Prince Sadie is at his best. He's direct, he's 1v1 ability, and he's also left footer, so he wants to come centrally to get to his preferred left foot. You put it on target, you give yourself a chance. Shipman's going to want this one back, but nonetheless, if you're Westchester, you take it 1-1.
For the longest time, that was their only shot of the half until they get a penalty in stoppage time.
And again, tactically start to figure things out for Westchester. You get a player centrally. Now you allow Obregon Jr. to be really aggressive within his movement. He just pushes it wide. Is it a handball? No VAR here in USL League One. Is there contact? No VAR here in USL League One. So Greg Doppa goes to 12 yards out, and Obregon gets his 6th on the season, gets denied initially, but as an attacking player, you always want to follow up for any sort of rebound, does just that, and puts Westchester in the lead.
It's not the half that Burn Shipman wanted, between the misplay on the opening goal, saving a penalty, but then it going in anyway. Statistically, pretty even matchup between these two sides. Westchester takes that 2-1 lead into the break. The question for the visitors, though, can they hold on to it? They've had issues this season where they just let their guard slip. Remember, they've dropped 19 points from a leading position this season. Can they hold on the road? Madison, Westchester both need this game in the worst way. Which way will it go? Half number 2 next on CBS Sports Network. all the kids huddled around Rose Cowbell, the successor to Leonela Bessie here at Bree Stevens Field. Now I want some cheese curds. Let's see if they can get some up our way. In the 2-1 lead for Westchester over Madison. And here in USL, we crowned the first ever Super League champions. It was the Tampa Bay Sun winning the final over Fort Lauderdale this past weekend.
Not many times you're able to create history in their professional sport, so give credit to Tampa Bay Sun. It took till extra time to find the go-ahead goal. And well done to USL as well, continuing to grow the women's game in this sport.
USL on CBS Sports is presented by Best Western. Take a look at the travel map. You see the key areas here in this first half for Garrett McLaughlin.
He was the best player for forward Madison. Garrett McLaughlin, the ability to pull out the center backs, get himself in a dangerous area, and deservingly so, found the opener for forward Madison. If this travel map looks similar in that second half, forward Madison will have success through their front line because their mobility was causing all sorts of issues for Westchester's defenders.
Like to cause some more of those issues, though, again in the early going. They got their goal 4 minutes in on the penalty. From that point on, they weren't very threatening Madison. They ended up with 5 shots, 3 on target, but nothing that was too difficult for Dane Jackaman to deal with in the end. There is a sub at the break on the Madison side. Aiden Macias replacing Jackson Dietrich. That man, J.C. Obregon, found his 6th of the season right before halftime to give Westchester this 2-1 lead. What needs to change, Ricky, if you're Madison, getting back on the front foot as they were in the first 10 minutes of this game?
You need someone centrally for forward Madison, and that's why Matt Glazer elects to bring in Macias, because he's going to give you a pocket presence, because that's when you found the success, when you had the movement off Garcia, McLaughlin, Dorado centrally, but you didn't find that on a consistent basis, so expect forward Madison to try to play in between lines in the second 45 minutes.
Madison left to right in the blue, Westchester right to left in the white. Glad to have you with us on CBS Sports Network with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. Underway now in half number 2, week 16 of the USL League One season. Also a substitution on the other side. Connor McGlynn departing for Juan Palma. Long for McLaughlin, nods it down for Dorado. I think more of Dorado on the ball will be key for Madison. They were at their most dangerous when he found the spaces.
So you play into Dorado, now you have the movement off of his shoulders with Garcia to be really direct. McLaughlin, we've seen how mobile he is on that front line, but this sub for Westchester, Palma coming in, is just going to push Drac up into more of an aggressive position. Right side of your screen, he's going to play at that left midfield to supply support to Obregon Jr.
These teams with only 1 win each on the season. Been a lot of ties from both these teams. 5 for Westchester, 6 for Madison. Those points mean something still, because with a win for either tonight, it would take them right up against that playoff line. If you would have told either of these coaches that the first third of the season would go this way, with a lot of injuries, with some poor fortune, both teams in that same boat, but at the end of this first third of the season, you could still be right at that playoff line through it all. I think they both might have taken it under the circumstances. Right now, that's Westchester's situation if they hold on to win. Chalaka, center back to center back. Jay Kroll will range out to it. In his 3rd year as part of this back line for Madison. Really strong back line that's been together now for a couple of years. Kroll was All-League 2nd team 2 years ago. Direct in behind Dorado. Jackaman off his line. Dorado never got a touch to it.
Good idea here for forward Madison. Palma just misreads this ball. You need to do a better job at winning this initial ball, because it's not the best that passes here from Macias. You need to go with your head there if you're Palma. Fortunate Jackaman off of his line to deny Dorado the 2nd goal for forward Madison here to draw this game even.
Card immediately comes out of the pocket here. It's Pierre that ends up in the book. Only other yellow to report from the first half of this game, remember, is to Burn Shipman when he conceded that penalty for Madison. Tempers flaring here between these sides. Right, Dopka trying to keep the peace at the moment.
Just watch the eyes here, Pierre. The drop of the right shoulder. Intentional, knows exactly what he's doing. Just tries to body out Garcia. There's no need. The ball's out of play. Deserving of a yellow card for the center back of Westchester. The extension of his right arm gets him in trouble, and a big challenge in terms of his discipline and positioning for the remainder of this game.
He's already been put in some precarious positions on that back line, Bobby Pierre. 22-year-old from Fort Lauderdale. Started in the Real Salt Lake Academy, then went over to France for 2 years in Strasbourg's youth. Capped at the U17 level for Haiti, the U20 level for the United States. His first season in USL League One now, coming over from Real Monarchs. Another player that's rotated in on that back line for Westchester. Again, they've used now 11 different combinations along that back line this season. Neither of these teams the whole year have had back-to-back starting 11. So I was talking a few moments ago about some of the luck both these teams have been dealt in the same boat in that regard through this first third of the season. They're both starting to come out of it with better health now, but that's what they've been up against. No consistency through the injuries, and here and there a couple of suspensions for both sides.
Interesting decision here for forward Madison, especially with how shaky Westchester has been on any single ball pumped into a dangerous area.
Flipping in behind, Garcia waiting for it. Garcia chips it over the top to himself, poked in front, cleared now. I don't know that Jackman wanted that. He seemed like he had it covered to grab and bring a sense of calm to the play. Not taking any chances though, Juan Palma, and just booting it toward the sideline.
And a good start here for forward Madison. Just notice the amount of numbers they're getting in around that 18-yard box. A lot of options to play in between the two center backs of Westchester.
Garcia with a lively start to this half. Pierre did well defensively. Did not lunge in either, especially after he just picked up that yellow with a foul on Garcia. Right, wrong, or indifferent, referees will always judge it a bit differently when it's the same two guys who were involved in the initial collision going up against each other again, as it was there with Pierre and Garcia, but cleanly done by Pierre.
If you're Garcia, you continue to go at him. You continue to put Pierre on his heels, especially in around that 18-yard box.
Chalaka. Worked around to Gebhard. Kroll popped up over the top. McLaughlin flicks it wide. Gebhard brings it down.
Just see how deep Westchester is sitting. All 11 players within 40 yards of their defending goal. Far too early just to try to park the bus for the visiting side here.
Murphy nods it down. Already Souza gives it away. Josh Drack forces it back and gives it away. Wrong move there from Drack. Now it's Faraday Souza. Had it deflected. Falls for Gebhard off the chest. Gebhard, the volley deflected. And it ends up wide, out for a corner. Dangerous moment there. Actually changed now to a goal kick, so Westchester gets away with it.
Fantastic job from forward Madison. Watch the numbers trying to recover this ball for Drack. 1, 2, 3, 4 Madison players. Souza doing a good job at just pushing the issue. Bypasses McLaughlin, and as this ball comes across, really difficult for Gebhard just to get his feet underneath him. His first touch lets him down. Notice how he has to twist, he has to turn, and in doing that, just loses sight of the ball and just pulls it wide.
Mentioned a little bit too early for Westchester to go into this defensive shape very deep. On the flip side of that, could it just be a coach in Dave Carton who has seen his team time and again this year cough up leads, 19 points drop from a winning position, where he's just saying, you know what, let's just see what we can do by throwing everybody back there.
It's 7 minutes into this second half. You're just asking for the relentless pressure for forward Madison. And once you do get the ball, now you have no options to play forward. Exactly what we saw with that last chance at forward Madison. Track picks up his head. No one to play into because everyone's defending. So you have to find that balance of, yes, we need to get out of our shell, but we also need to be very tight defensively. Big second half for Westchester in terms of their progression, not only in terms of the results, but also mentally. How can you play with the lead in a hostile environment?
Madison have trailed that half 3 times this year. They're 0-3. Westchester have led at the half 3 times this year. They've only won 1 of those games. Something's got to give here. Guzin.
This is an even better way to close this game off. You just take the game away from Madison, let the ball do all the work, make Madison chase, and when those gaps start to open up, that's when you can really penetrate the spaces in behind.
Goes in, flipping it long. Obregon was waiting. Misclear from Garcia. Pierre works it back through for Drac. It's been a rough go of it so far in this one for Josh Drac.
Really difficult to find his rhythm. Drac, luck as well on the right-hand side. Nice little battle that we have from 2 very direct and physical players.
Westchester is preparing another change. Samori Powder up and ready. Payne. Bauman. Payne again. It's been good control the last couple of minutes here from Westchester. Joel Johnson switching to Drac. Here comes that change. Samori Powder on, Bobby Pierre off, and maybe wise for Westchester to get him off the field. He's had a couple of moments in this game. He's just realizing now that he's supposed to come off. No, let's see. They're sorting it out. Pierre's right there by the sideline. And in the meantime, Rashid Teta just went down injured, so they were set to bring off Pierre, but now forced to reconsider as Teta needs some attention. Pierre had come over and he was talking to Dave Carton that Teta just went down. Hold off. This is his way of arguing to stay in the game perhaps as well, but Teta down needing some attention.
Smart from Pierre.
And told they will be switching the sub here. It's the official word from down on the field that it will be Teta coming off and Powder coming on, so Pierre will stay out there. Welcome back here to Breese Stevens Field, and forward Madison down 2-1 against Westchester. So the sub is now confirmed. Teta coming off for Samori Powder. And this is the last thing that Westchester can afford right now. We've talked about it throughout the night so far. They've had such bad luck with injuries on that back line. This is the 11th combination of 4 defenders they've used this year. They have not been able to pair the same 2 guys at center back at all this year. Teta being one of those key guys, and now he's the one that leaves with an injury right before the hour mark.
It's going to change again for Westchester in terms of their defensive unit. So now Palma's going to play next to Pierre as the 2 center backs. Drac is going to push back to his left back position, allowing Powder to push at that left midfielder player. Powder, 2 goals, 1 assist for Westchester, so getting him up the tempo in terms of his combination with Obregon will be really important to try to get their 3rd here on the road. He's a very direct player, likes to go 1v1.
Talked about his brother earlier, Noah Powder. Westchester missing him tonight. He's at the Gold Cup with Trinidad and Tobago. He started against the U.S. in the group opener. Free kick on the way now for Madison as Dorado went down. Drac committed the foul. Continues to be a difficult evening for Drac, both in possession and defensively.
Good recognition here from Messias, just a slash across. Pierre, Tanisha 1, Drac, 2 players for Westchester. Really clever from Dorado to go down. And again, Pierre, there's no need to try to win that ball. You have Drac right there, become a little bit overzealous already on a yellow card. Good opportunity for Madison.
And that's why Dave Carton was probably trying to sub him off until the injury comes for Rashid Teta, and he has to change course. It will be Garcia toward the back post, flicked on and out for a corner.
Good ball in for Garcia, enough pace towards that back post area, and it's the first time that we've seen Westchester deal with a set piece for forward Madison.
Hour gone, half hour remains. Corner for the Flamingos. High arcing ball toward the back post, knotted down in the front of the 6. There was a shot for a handball from Madison. Didn't seem like much there. Sadie tries to work it away. He loses it. John Murphy on the ground. To take a touch. It did not. And out for a goal kick.
It's a perfect example yet again, Joe, for Westchester just not having anyone ahead of the ball to play into. So Prince Sadie tries to pick up his head, twists and turn and relieve some of the pressure. And that's the risk that you run when you just require all 11 players to sit back into a mid to low block. You have no presence to play into.
Four total changes coming here in this one between the 2 sides. They will finally get Bobby Pierre out. It is Andrew Jean-Baptiste who takes his spot on the back line. You can hear there the field microphone picking it up from Matt Glazer. Deliberate, the word he used as the subs enter the match for Madison. That's the word that he used in our conversation. He wants to be more deliberate in the attack. He doesn't want the ball recycled and playing it back and just being patient and passive. He wants to go, and he puts a group out there now that really fits that bill. Nico Brown, Devin Boyce, and Dami Villader all coming on. 3 players who are very direct in nature and will force the issue now for Madison.
Brown and Villader will provide width, they'll provide directness, but Boyce is going to give you work rate, and he's going to cover every single blade of grass for the remainder of this game. Quality to go 1v1 and combine. So if Matt Glazer really attack-minded subs coming onto the field.
I think it's every pellet of turf tonight.
You know what I mean.
He's a player that I know you hated playing against in this league, Devin Boyce, just because he's so relentless. He's just a pest out there in every way. You hate him if you play against him. You love him if he's a teammate.
If he's your teammate, you love a player like that, just continuing the work rate to hunt down every single ball and never give up. And as an opposition, a player that you just look towards the sideline and say, really, especially with all the hard work that we've put in through 63 minutes, the last thing you want to see is boys coming onto the field.
We talked about it earlier, that 2021 Omaha side pretty much migrating here to Madison. In come two more, Dami Villadair and Devin Boyce. And that's something that Dave Carton, in assessing the opponent tonight in Madison, was very quick to point out as one of Madison's biggest strengths. Guys who have not only played together here for quite some time, but have played together elsewhere. The chemistry and cohesion on Madison's side versus Westchester's side, night and day, and that's to be expected when it comes to an expansion team. Yes, they went out and got a couple of guys who played together previously in Charlotte and other places on this Westchester side, but Madison has that cohesion. You could change out 3 parts like that, and you don't really break any of the change of chemistry out on the field.
They have that comfortability, but they also have experience, Madison. You talked about the Union Omaha side that won it in 2021, the ability to understand what it takes and the grind to be successful in USL League One.
Villadair makes his 9th appearance. Last time we saw him in League One, he was first team All-League in 2021. He spent the last 3 years as a regular for Sacramento Republic, one of the top teams up in USL Championship. That's been one of the byproducts of the expansion in League One and the talent pool just getting deeper in the championship. There's a lot of guys in the field tonight who have been, or you expect to still maybe be, starters or regulars in USL Championship that have matriculated here to League One as the league continues to grow and develop. Boyce.
You're going to see a lot of this for forward Madison in possession, and the way that you break a mid to low block is you need to have a lot of movement. Watch out, that's a really tough challenge from the CS, trying to recover after his mistake.
He joins his goalkeeper, Burns Shipman, in the book.
Just not clean enough on the ball, trying to do a little bit too much and become too cute. And just watch how high that right foot comes and the left foot. What's that scissoring motion? Catches Obregon Jr. Clear foul right in front of Greg Dopka, deserving of a yellow card for Macias.
Macias came into this game at halftime for Madison. They've used 4 of their subs now. Meanwhile, Westchester have used 3. If they remain behind in this game for Madison, expect to maybe see Juan Galindres for either Garrett McLaughlin or Luca Dorado. Galindres, another one of those players who, again, we could see for Madison that hasn't scored yet this year. For a team that has lacked secondary scoring, a lot of the guys who were the usual suspects from last year just haven't been doing it. Galindres had 6 goals last year. He's had 2 double-digit goal-scoring years in League One in his career, but nothing yet this year. And look again back at that foul from Macias. Obregon still being tended to, but back to his feet now. He could stay out there because the yellow was shown, remember. No need to come off for a moment.
For Madison, if you are going to see a lot of the ball for the remainder of this game, with Westchester getting all 11 players behind the ball, you need to be clean, you need to be technically sound, decisive, but there also needs to be a lot of movement ahead of the ball. Selfless runs, pulling out center backs to open up gaps for teammates. That type of actions is the way that you can break through.
Try from an odd angle here. Samori Powder, might have been a cross. Seemed like he had eyes for goal. Well, that's his mentality though, Samori Powder. Getting up in the attack, it's his first pro season. He was the 2022 USL League Two Player of the Year and Defender of the Year. Don't let Defender of the Year fool you. It was very much one of those instances where he's a wingback who's essentially an attacking piece and defender in name only, but because he had so many goal contributions, he won Defender of the Year. Very much an attacking-minded player for Westchester. See if he could get something on the counter as they look to put this game away.
That was a
7 down here.
That was a big piece for Westchester in terms of the profile.
Roll to the end line. Unable to keep it in.
Dave Carton wants, especially from the wide parts of the field, because he's going to give you width and isolation to go 1v1. But once he does get into the final third, he gives you quality. The quality to pick out his teammates with service, but can also show that he can put the ball in the back of the net as well.
Let's take a look at the Best Western upcoming schedule. Catch some USL action this Friday night, Lexington, Colorado Springs on ESPN2. And we're back on CBS Sports Network for Birmingham Legion and the Charleston Battery on July 2nd at 8 Eastern. Just over 20 remaining. Westchester have had so many issues this year, shielding out games, holding on to leads. 19 points dropped from a leading position. Here's Boyce, delivering centrally. Edge of the area, settled by Krul, tried to feed it through, intercepted by Sadie. He could go here. Obregon there with him.
Great position here from Chilaka just to stay his ground and just split the difference. If you become too aggressive, Obregon can run in behind you. So as he drops, notice the pass horizontally. That's when he steps in. We just need to be cleaner. If you are forward, Madison, Krul, too predictable. Prince 80 picks his pocket.
I think the best illustration of how frustrating it's been this year for Westchester and why they're so encouraged of what this season could still become through the injuries and some of the issues they've had to navigate. In the live table, they're on 11 points. They're one back of a playoff spot. And when you take into account the points they've dropped from a leading position, 19, let's just say they take, I don't know, 9 of those, which is still less than 50%. You add those 9 of 19 points from a leading position that they've dropped, they've got 20 points, and they're the 3rd place team in the league. So it's been self-inflicted wounds through an early portion of the season that's seen them endure a lot of bad injury luck. That's why they're still so encouraged of what this year could become as we go deeper and deeper.
Also very difficult for Dave Carton and this Westchester side to build this thing from the ground up, to set a foundation, to build a culture on how they want to approach the games and create an identity, whether it is on and off the ball. So yes, they've dropped points, but they know that they have the talent and they know that it's those fine margins that they continue to harp on. 71 minutes in here on the road in the lead could be a really big character win for Westchester.
And don't get it twisted, Dave Carton's the first one to say that this is not an excuse. There's a difference between excuses and reasons. And I think right now you could point to some of their lack of consistency in the personnel as maybe a reason that they've had the issues they've had, which is switching off in key moments and key individual errors defensively. Yes, self-inflicted, but you have to take into account all the injuries and all the different combinations of players. That feeds into it. So it's a chicken or the egg type of situation here for Westchester. But the fact of the matter is, can you move past it? Can you move past it? Can you look at the next game, the next stretch of games? And it starts here with these next 20 minutes. Blocked by Drack, out to Boyce. Falls for Murphy, looking through for Boyce.
And just no real options for Westchester. So if you do recover the ball, Obregon Jr. just needs to take off. Just give yourself and your team an outlet to play into.
Boyce delivering, contact in the area. Dopka says play on. Falling for Macias. A lot of pressure mounting for Madison. Westchester still withstanding it. They might opt for a long throw there. It was off of a long throw that Madison earned that penalty 3 minutes in. Instead, they recycle it. Chilaka. Space for Nico Brown to deliver. Bounces into the arms of Dane Jackman.
Interesting ball in from Brown. A nightmare to deal with if you are a goalkeeper, because if someone slashes across Jackman, he's caught. And no man's land. Is he going to go? Is he going to stay? With the traffic oncoming, expect forward Madison to continue to pump the ball into a dangerous area.
Looks like Stephen Payne is not able to continue here. A few moments ago he went down. It looked like he signaled sub over to the bench, and now they finally will get him out. Herman Makic will take his spot. And this was 3 minutes ago that we first picked it up, that he was looking over at the bench. and asked for a sub. They couldn't get it yet. Now they do. Urban Makic takes his spot.
It's right into what we continue to talk about for Westchester, just unable to get into rhythm within their relationships, specifically their back line. 3 changes for Dave Carton in terms of the defenders. Makic is going to play the right-hand side. On the other side for Matt Glazer, you're telling your boys to go at him, see how quickly he can get up the tempo, and see how quickly mentally he can turn on and stay tuned into this game.
And how about that for more of the misfortune in terms of the injuries on the back line for Westchester? We've talked about it all night. 11 different back line combinations. They haven't had the same center back pairing. Within this game, they've had Teta subbed out due to an injury, your right center back, and Stephen Payne subbed out due to an injury, your right back. And there's no confirmation of this, but there's maybe some concern about Connor McGlynn as well, because remember, a couple minutes before halftime, he was down receiving treatment for Westchester, and he was subbed off at halftime. A player that we expect, and you tend to expect to go the distance for this Westchester side. He subbed off abruptly at halftime, and he's somebody who's filled in as an emergency center back for Westchester this year as well. Just cannot catch a break in terms of the health of the back line, Westchester. But can they hold on despite what they've had to endure this season and tonight, with 2 members of that back line going down? Now it's Drac, Jean-Baptiste, Makic, Palma on that back line. All different names than we started with, except for Drac.
Started with a 3-4 back system, for Westchester. Only Josh Drac is the player that started the game that is still intact in this back line for Westchester.
From the throw. So difficult right now for Madison with everybody behind the ball for Westchester. You thought it was a little early to go into this defensive stance for Westchester. They did it at around the 48, 49 minute mark the first time we noticed it. There was a spell where they had 5 to 10 minutes of possession in the attacking half, but they've since collapsed back again defensively. They're just trying to do whatever they can to get out of here and preserve this win.
For forward Madison, now you have to find a true balance. If you want to play out of the back and doing that, now that can afford some space to open up centrally, because the front line of Westchester, they're going to step up, they're going to step out of their shell. That's when a player like Boyce, like Macias, Murphy can play in between lines to unbalance the defensive set. But if you do play direct for forward Madison, second balls become that much more important to impose your dominance around that 18-yard box.
Jackman untested in this second half. Officially 4 shots for Madison, none of those on target. 1 shot not on target for Westchester, though they're less concerned. They already have the lead. That lead was given to them 45+1. JC Obregon had a penalty saved following his
yellow card
and scored. And the yellow is shown to Makic.
Really silly from the sub. The whistle's gone. No need to just kick this ball away. A yellow card every single day of the week. Greg Dobka pulls or blows a whistle. Frustration. Just silly.
You see that moment where he freezes after he kicked it? He hesitated, then he turned around to apologize. You could see in real time him realizing what he did, him trying to work his way out of it. What happens when you get your foot cut in the cookie jar.
Good run.
Space here down this left side. Kroll puts it in and sent away by Jean-Baptiste. I mentioned earlier that for an expansion team, there are still some combinations around the field of guys who played with each other. They're missing Kamar Lawrence. Surprise, surprise, an injury on that back line for Westchester. They're missing him due to injury right now, but this is a combination that goes way back. Andrew Jean-Baptiste played with Kamar Lawrence back with the New York Red Bulls in 2015. And after Lawrence signed in December, Jean-Baptiste followed soon thereafter in January. There's some combinations that come over from Charlotte for Westchester, where Dave Carton was the technical director and assistant coach the last 5 years. And there's some deeper ties as well among those players.
specifically Kamal Lawrence and Jean-Baptiste, you're not only losing the quality on the field, you're losing experience, specifically Kamal Lawrence. What he's been able to do with the New York Red Bulls, one of, if not the best left back in his day, working up and down in the MLS.
Stand out for Jamaica internationally, went over and played in Europe for quite some time, most notably, or rather for the longest period of time with Anderlecht in Belgium. They expect to have him at some point back from his injury. Not quite sure when exactly for Westchester, but they'll take anybody they can get off that injured list right now among the back line, with 2 more names maybe added today as Teta and Payne went down, having to sub off. Now a player down at the other end of the field. Steen Guzin, who's slow to get up.
Rightly so. Guzin doing a good job at just spinning and eluding Boyce and Murphy here. There's a lot of contact from Boyce. Going back the other way as well. Just falls awkwardly. The number 10 for Westchester.
Madison was upset that the play was stopped. The guy down at the other end of the field, unless the ball is out or it's played out, or it's a head injury, there's no obligation to stop, and they would have liked the man advantage there. There's been opportunities for Madison in this second half, but part of the larger issue they've endured this season is they haven't been efficient in their chances. Every shot they've taken in the second half has been off target.
Coming into this game, the key was always going to be, can you take your chances? Can you be composed? And can you be clinical when you do get into that final third? Because the talent that you have, the chances were going to come, especially when you play over the top and wide parts of the field. You just don't have that ruthlessness and someone wanting to get on the end of things. Dorado was a player that really was alive in that first 45 minutes, but in the second half, Westchester has done a good job at just denying the central ball into him. For Madison, need to figure things out, how to unbalance Westchester for the remaining 10 minutes here.
And maybe this sub will go a long way in helping do just that. Juan Galindres comes on. Thought it might be for McLaughlin or Dorado, but instead they'll sacrifice Murphy and get an extra striker out there. So it is a full-on attacking look here for Madison, and that's their 5th and final sub. So the guys out there will be the guys out there the rest of the way, and you see Galindres holding up 3 fingers and maybe giving out the new formational instructions here to the rest of the group from the sideline. We saw Glazer pull out the tactical board and moving some of the magnets around as he was preparing that sub.
It's going to be
this does.
Dorado, Galindres, and McLaughlin, the 3 players higher up the field. Galindres and Dorado very similar in terms of they are going to be hold-up number 9s. McLaughlin's going to give you the mobility to just buzz around and pull out center backs, but they need to complement and get a relationship quickly if Madison wants to get back into this game.
Looking long for Galindres right away. He brings you more of a focal point number 9 presence in there. Big body for Dorado as well, as we've seen him using that body to his advantage tonight, but he's more of a slasher despite the frame. Brown delivering. Macias settling and scanning. Via there. It'll be a Madison throw. And this time toward Boyce. When trailing in the final 10 minutes of a match this season, Madison have only earned 1 point. They've trailed at this juncture of a match 4 times this year. They're 0-3-1.
Good ball.
Back in from Brown. Loses the back post for Galindres. Bounced over his head. They need more of that service to try and just force something. And forcing the issue is, again, the point that Matt Glazer keeps hammering home. Stop recycling it. Just put it forward and see if good things can happen.
Also need more movement from forward Madison to slash across that near post.
Brown goes down. And a free kick in a very good spot here for Madison. Have to make the most of set pieces this late in a match.
Really good ball in for Brown. Someone needs to slash towards that near post, because if you do, you get on the end of it, but you also pull out one of the center backs for Westchester. Just two men, too much bodies right in front of Jacquemin. And I love the aggressive nature for Brown here. Takes his first touch and just tries to move. Josh Drack goes down, wins a really dangerous set piece as Villader stands over it.
Villader is known to maybe try and sneak a shot near post. In his days with Sacramento and Omaha, cheeky player. Only two in the wall, big gap there as Jacquemin is guarding against the cross. Can Villader try and surprise him here with a shot at the near post? Or will it be a service from the substitute? Former first team USL League One defender with Union Omaha. Villader does go for a goal, and it's saved by Jacquemin. Almost curled it into that near post. Now served, flicked away. And out of the danger for Westchester.
Great ball here.
Sadie. This is a real test for Westchester. This is only the second time this year they have entered the final 10 minutes of a match with the lead. First time that they got here with the lead, they won it 1-0.
Clever here from Villader. Everyone thinks this ball's going to be popped into a dangerous area. Tries to beat Jacquemin on his near post. Reactionary, instinctual save from the goalkeeper. Notice the footwork to come across and push it away from traffic to not allow for Madison a second bite at the apple.
And his first step went to his right there. He was playing the cross through and through. Villader had it pegged. But a good push off on that power step from Jacquemin to get across and make the stop. Westchester have not won a game in any competition since April 2nd in Open Cup against an amateur side. Their lone win of the season so far came March 29th on the road against Texoma. Haven't won since. Could be on the brink of it. Outswinger from the free kick. And it drifts out for a corner. Greg Dopka trying to hurry Dean Guzin along. Given some of the collapses they've had this year, Westchester, an insurance goal would mean so much. And just breathing a bit easier. Can they get it here from the corner? And they don't even have an opportunity. Foul goes against Westchester when the ball was still mid-flight.
Just silly. John Baptiste, no need to engage in any sort of contact. Gives toward Madison the ability to get on the ball yet again and just commit more numbers. Watch out.
Taken away by Westchester. And Sadie, eyes open wide, touch too heavy, gave it away. Now given right back. And a yellow shown on the foul. Timmy Mel. Every foul and corner now is just an opportunity for Westchester to take another 30+ seconds off the clock.
Just so clever here from Makish. He understands this long touch, so notice how he just stays his ground, pushes it aside of Mel, and just takes a contact, knowing that he's gonna drain the clock in favor of Westchester, get a defender on a yellow card, heads up play, and smart from the sub.
Timmy Mel actually looks like he still got the worst of that, coming through full speed. Makic holding his ground. It's Mel who's still working out that knee. Makic is fine. Remember, all 5 subs have been used by Madison, so Mel has to shake this off, or otherwise they go forward playing down a man. Joel Johnson sends it long. Westchester still do have 1 sub if they choose to use it in the dying moments. But they only have 1 more outfield player in Mink Peters. They were down a player from their bench tonight. That just shows you the injury woes they've dealt with. Could not even field a full team in terms of the bench tonight. Sadie cutting in, back to the end line, feeding it in front, almost got through. Nico Brown looking for it over the shoulder. Able to keep it in play. Boyce, to no one in particular, might have taken a deflection. Drac sends it sky high. Hustle here from Guzin, forcing Mel into a ball back to Shipman. He's been a spectator in this second half. No shots on target for Westchester. Vern Shipman, one of the key figures of that first half with his misplay on the opening Westchester goal. Then he made the save on the penalty, but the rebound was put home by Obregon. Edge of the area, mistouched by Biadaris, pulled wide on the shot. Took a deflection.
Dorado here trying to hit it first time to wrong foot Jacquemin. Really clever player. Doesn't need a second invitation to pull the trigger in a dangerous set piece in the 89th minute here for Madison.
'90th minute in Madison. Mingo's looking for an equalizer. Dorado tracking it just enough on the deflection by Bauman to put Dorado off rhythm. He leaves it for Chalaka. He's been their long throw specialist. When they decide to go that route, goes back instead. Macias back to Chalaka. Space to get across in. Chalaka took a deflection by Drac. Has to be a better service than that. All that space and you hit the front man who's about 8 yards in front of you.
But also really bad decision not to go direct. You score your opening goal with a long throw and you just cause some chaos as you play short, allowing Westchester to be a little bit more aggressive in their positioning and just clearing their lines.
What do we have in store for stoppage time? Can Madison find even just one more opportunity here? And they have plenty of time to do it. 6 minutes tacked on. They've lost 2 straight in league play. 2-1 last game on the road against Spokane. 1-0 2 matches ago here at home against Omaha. Before those 2 losses, they had a string of 6 consecutive ties forward Madison. So they've been right there in all these games. But no wins in a while. Now floated in toward Brown. Boyce waits on the volley. Looping save by Jacquemin.
Initially, really difficult technique here for Boyce to let this ball drop down enough to get contact on it with the oncoming pressure. Good ball in from Cole. Sadie doing just enough to throw off Boyce and not allowing clean enough contact to make Jacquemin. Difficult technique from the sub.
Madison haven't won since March 29th against the Richmond Kickers. And coming into the night, both these teams with a win would have vaulted up to a point back of a playoff position. That's how tight the table is in USL League One at the moment. You look at the table from 6th down to last and 14th, separated by just 5 points. Top 8 make the postseason. We're about a third of the way through. Floated in again from out wide, flicked away again by Makic. Viadair wants to get it back to his left foot if he can. He does. He delivers. Galindres tracks it down. Timmy Mel delivering. Came off the chest of Jean-Baptiste.
Really good box defending here for Westchester over the last 10 minutes. Committed to win their individual duels.
Nico Brown. And it's Drac getting in the way. Viadair puts a ball in, looking for Galindres. It's desperation time now for Madison, just pumping balls forward, hoping for one to fall their way. Nice pullback, shot blocked. Also get the sense that Westchester might still have an opportunity in this one to tack on another. With everybody forward for Madison.
Needs to be quicker. I'm gonna see us here. If you are gonna take the space, do it intentionally.
Viadair on that left foot. Viadair, good ball in. Jacquemin punches clear. Makic further away. A lot of traffic for Jackman to deal with. Services also have to be better for Madison if that is going to be your way forward here in these final 3 minutes to try and find something. You at least have to put it into a dangerous spot and get it past the first man. Contact there. McLaughlin went down. He felt he was fouled by Jean-Baptiste. Still rolling around. Greg Dopka saw it differently. Would have been a free kick and a terrific spot for the Mingos. Brown. Flag stays down. Back to Chalaka. Just over 2 minutes remaining. Macias plays it through to the end line. Clipped in. Galindres tracking. Brown there as well. Galindres couldn't get there. Palma sky high. Settled by Obregon, looking for support, and he's fouled. Again, every one of these fouls now for Madison is that much more painful because it's another 30 seconds that could just tick by.
Jean-Baptiste has done a fantastic job since coming onto this field for Westchester. He's won every 50-50 ball pumped into a dangerous area. Just frustrating. But with Madison, equally as impressive has been Juan Carlos Obregon Jr. Ability to hold the ball. Boys, that's just pure frustration from the forward Madison player. The extension of the left arm. Clear contact on the head area of Obregon Jr.
About a minute has gone by here, so as we said, about 15-20 minutes ago when we started getting to this portion of the match, every foul, every corner that goes Westchester's way, it's just that much more of a double whammy for Madison. Time added is almost never equal to the actual time lost. And they lost about another minute there. I don't know that it'll be tacked back on by Greg Dopka because it came because of a Madison foul. So under a minute of the 6 given still remain. Westchester on the brink of their first victory in league play since the end of March. First victory in any competition since the beginning of April. And through it all, through the injuries, through the downswing, it would get them within a point of the playoff line. And the arrow pointing up as they're starting to get some bodies healthy again on the brink of returns. This could be the last opportunity here for Madison. Pumped forward, gathered by Jackman. Almost fumbled it, but he's there. 6 minutes come and gone. A glance at the watch from Greg Dopka. And there is the final whistle. For the first time since March 29th, Westchester FC have a win in League One play. It was a goal by J.C. Obregon in first half stoppage time that ties him for the league lead with 6, and they take all 3 points on the road against Madison.
What a big 3 points this is for Westchester. This win was all about the cleverness of Juan Obregon Jr., the ability to make things happen in the final third and in the second 45, all between the ears. The mental fortitude, the mental strength, and the willingness to win every single individual duel, specifically in their box defending. Deserving 3 points for Westchester.
Seemed maybe a little early, you thought that they went into that defensive shell, but in the end, it paid off. They only allowed 2 shots on target the rest of the way. They navigated the second half. They avoided some of the mistakes that have really cost them throughout the season, and Westchester held on to win it 2-1 over forward Madison. We're back in a moment to wrap things up from Stevens Field. Dave Carton, one of the first guys he brought to Westchester when named the coach, was J.C. Obregon. A big hug between those two at the end of this one as Obregon nets the match-winning goal late in that first half. He has a tie for the Golden Boot right now on 6 goals this season. We'll take you back to the highlights. Back in the early going, the early penalty for Madison gave them the lead, don't forget, but they could not hold on from there.
Starts with a long throw in. Number 77, Gebhardt comes in centrally from a weak-sided position. Pierre really silly defending McLaughlin, cool as you would like. The little stutter step to see Jackman go one way, he goes the other. And forward Madison take a fantastic lead here. But then it started to come into play for Westchester. They understood the areas that they can really occupy and really break through for Madison, and it starts with their possession. Notice all the horizontal passes. What that does, that just pulls out forward Madison out of their shape, and it leaves a lot of green grass for Prince Eddy just to run into. His directness and the profile of a left footer playing on the right-hand side. So he always wants to come century. Little drop of the shoulder right here, and you put it on target, you'll give yourself a chance. Not convincing whatsoever, but Shipman makes a really bad mistake. And just like that, 1-1.
He knew it too. You can see the frustration once he got up from letting that one in. They didn't really do anything for the next 20 minutes until this ball over the top to Obregon. You and I have looked at this. You still think a little bit of contact on the leg. I expect that from you. You were a number 9. I still say no contact. In the end, Greg Dopka said penalty, no VAR, and Obregon made it count ultimately.
You curate your own luck as an attacking player. Obregon does just that. And it's a good bend and even better save initially from Shipman. But as an attacking player, you're always taught that you need to rebound and just follow up your shot. Obregon, he gets a gift. He gets a second goal for Westchester, and they take all 3 points.
Numbers will say that maybe it was Madison the better side, but it always felt like Westchester were driving this game in control.
All about threatening in the final third and efficiency in that final third. Everything forward Madison did was in between both boxes. They were connecting passes. They were pumping the balls into dangerous area. But in a game like this, 2 teams that are struggling, it's all about the boxes, winning your individual duels and winning those critical moments. Westchester did that, and in result, they would take the win.
Both these teams have the weekend off, and then next week they have Jägermeister Cup action, so the regular season goes away until the first week of July now for both of these teams. A nice way to go into that break here with the win for Westchester. For the crew that makes this possible, broadcast partner Ricky Lopez-Espin, I'm Joe Malpa saying so long for now. It's Westchester coming on the road and taking it 2-1 over forward Madison. Good night, everybody.